Well, hey there, Mama, and welcome back to the Moms Overcoming Overwhelm podcast, episode number 212. I'm Emily McDermott, and I'm here beside you on this journey as we work together to declutter your home, head, and heart. Today's episode comes directly from one of my community members. If you would like to join the free Facebook group, come on over to tinyurl.com/moms overcoming overwhelm. And she was asking specifically about holiday decor. So at the time of recording, we are almost to Halloween. And then, of course, we have, at least in the US, Thanksgiving. And then if you celebrate anything end of year, like Hanukkah or Christmas, then there's a lot of stuff that comes with that. So what do we do if we feel like we are drowning in all of the holiday decor? And yet when we go to HomeGoods, we're like, oh my gosh, that's so cute. I totally have to get that. So if you can resonate with that, then definitely listen in. I'm going to be giving you 5 steps for decluttering, organizing, and storing your holiday decor. So what do you say? Grab the notebook and pen and let's dive into today's episode. Hey Mama, are you tired of your cluttered home and mile-long to-do lists but are too overwhelmed to know where to start? Do you lack the time and motivation and don't think you'll ever conquer the clutter? You're in the right place. I'm Emily, wife, boy mom, and declutter coach who has overcome the overwhelm in my own life through decluttering and simplifying. I believe every mom deserves the peace that comes from a clutter-free home. Ready to get your life back? Let's declutter your home, head, and heart together. So I really thank everyone who has left a review for the show. If you have not left a review yet, I would encourage you to do so. It's a great way for other moms just like you to be able to find the show. And the most recent review that I have received came in a couple days ago, and it is called My New Favorite. I've listened to many decluttering organizing podcasts. I just recently found yours. It has become my favorite. I appreciate your calm but still very motivating demeanor. Oh, I love that compliment. Calm but still motivating. Yes, I would love to be that for everyone. And it's funny, I never really thought of myself as having like a calm, melodious voice until I started doing this podcast about 3 years ago, and that's the feedback I've received. So happy to be here supporting you. I want to tell you a little story. So about 3 years ago, I went to a friend's wedding and I came back and it was nighttime. The Uber dropped me off and I thought I was at the wrong house. Did not recognize my front yard because my husband had taken our boys out to get Halloween decorations, and there were a ton of them, a ton. And we live in a townhouse with a very small front yard. It's just mulch and tree and then some shrubbery. So there wasn't like a ton of space to take up, but it was still like, oh my gosh. But my kids love Halloween and they love the decorations that come along with it. Perhaps for you, it's another season, like perhaps you love decorating for Christmas. And there's sort of that tension between wanting to enjoy the holiday, wanting our loved ones to enjoy the holiday, but not having everything super cluttered and junky, and then having to manage it right in our homes. So we're going to go through these 5 steps, but before I do, this is your pre-step homework, which is to not buy anything new, okay? Stop yourself in Target, stop yourself in HomeGoods, stop yourself in Costco before you buy something, because what we're going to do is shop our home this holiday season, and I'm talking about October all the way to the end of the year. We're going to shop our home first. So please, please don't buy anything. If we find that there's gaps, then certainly, or you need to replace something, that's fine. But for those of you drowning in holiday decor, the last thing we want to do is go shopping first, right? So let's go ahead and jump into these steps. Step number 1, and it'd be helpful if you could either write this down on a piece of paper or if you use like a mind mapping software. There's lots of free ones out there. I use MindMeister, but sometimes it's easier to kind of be able to play around with the ideas and have some space for them. So I want you to list the holiday traditions and activities that are most important to you within your home. Now, I'm not talking about going to see Christmas lights. I'm talking about things that are actually happening within your home. And make sure to leave some space in between them because we're going to put some notes around them. So here are some examples from my own life, okay? My children and my husband, they like to do carving the pumpkin for Halloween. I used to roast the seeds, and then I found out that my kids don't even like pumpkin seeds and they don't agree with my stomach. So, not sure what we're doing with the seeds this year, but I do compost, so that makes me feel a little bit better. Decorating the Christmas tree. We have two different Christmas trees, which may not seem very minimalist, but when I first got married to my husband, we only had room for a small pencil tree, and those have some sentimental ornaments that have been gifted to me since I was born. So, doing the math, I have 45 of these particular types of ornaments, and then the other main artificial tree is our normal ornaments. And then going back to Halloween, I mentioned decorating outside for Halloween with these scary decorations. That's something that my kids really like to do. So those are kind of the basics for us. And then the next step is for each activity or tradition that are important to you and your family, figuring out where that's going to happen and what the physical boundaries are around that activity and what you need, like your resources. So, for example, carving a pumpkin, we need a pumpkin. And that normally happens in the kitchen. And then after it's carved, that'll go outside for Halloween. If we put it out too early, the squirrels tend to eat it. So we have learned the hard way not to put it out too early. For the Christmas trees and the lights and the ornaments, that's all happening in the living room, also the stockings. And then, for example, if you were hosting for Thanksgiving, for example, you might want to have a tablecloth, napkins, placemats, servingware, centerpiece, those types of things for actually decorating the table. And that might take place in the dining room or the kitchen. And then any kind of outdoor decorations, for the front yard. So this is kind of like the foundation of your decor plan based upon the traditions and activities you do in your home that you want to continue. And then we're going to kind of layer on top of that. So the layer on top of that with step 3 is listing any decorations that aren't for like a specific activity or tradition, but will add to your enjoyment of the holiday season. And if you can't really remember what each of them are in making a list, you can wait until you're getting your holiday decor out for that season to see what they are. But I like to kind of mix the functionality of certain things with having it be functional and decor. So an example, my mom embroiders a bunch of things, but including towels. So I have Halloween towel, I have a Thanksgiving towel, I have a Christmas towel, and that goes in the main kind of guest powder room on the main floor. And that's kind of like a functional way that I can have decor without it being junky and taking up a lot of space. So if you can think about other things, like we also have a painting that we usually have up and then we'll replace it for Halloween. We have, I'm not a fan of it, but my kids love it. It's like a framed picture of a skeleton, like with a top hat or something. So we put that up for Christmas. We kind of change it out for something. So it's not taking up extra space. It's just replacing something that's on the wall normally. And then also in our dining room table, we have table runners. So right now we have like a Halloween one, we have a fall one, Christmas one. So that's a way to have it be a little bit more functional and not so junky, if that's something that you're noticing, that it just seems like a lot of stuff everywhere. And if you're very impacted by your physical environment like I am, then maybe you don't want as much stuff. So kind of pay attention to some of those things, being very intentional about what they are. And then step 4 is when we're actually taking out our decorations for the season. So this, again, they happen to do this when I'm gone for Halloween, but my husband and kids took everything out. If I was doing it, I would be taking it out and asking myself, did I use this last year? Because you'll notice that you gravitate towards certain decor. Perhaps it is sentimental because it's been passed down from family members. Perhaps it's just something you really like, something that's really fun. So pay attention to what you're gravitating towards, and conversely, what you are avoiding. Like, I don't know if I want to use that, or I don't know where that would go. And so notice what you're gravitating towards and what you are kind of keeping in the bins, and you're like, I don't know where to put this. And so step 5 is to start decorating with what you use and love the most. And let's, for this season, experiment. We're just experimenting with just having out what you use and love the most and seeing how that feels. Instead of, oh, I have all of this, so I have to use it and I have to have it all out. See what it feels with just the things that are the most important to you and that are also supporting those activities that we were talking about in steps 1 and 2, and see how that feels, because that will then bring us to the organization and storage steps. So that step 1 through 5 is really like planning and assessing, getting out the decorations and being like, okay, what do I have? What do I like? What do I don't like? Because ideally, we are going to do one of two things. We are going to, at the end of whatever the holiday is, we're going to decide, okay, I didn't use any of this other stuff, and honestly, I didn't miss it, and then declutter it, donate it. Or you can use an out of sight, out of mind bin, and I would actually recommend that you separate it out to say, Halloween out of sight, out of mind, or Christmas out of sight, out of mind, because you want to separate it from the things that you use and that you love. And if you want to keep it another season and see if you're going to use it, fine. I would recommend that maybe if you really are like not gravitating towards it, that you don't keep it at all. But that is a great way to just kind of test that out. And then we want to organize the things that we use and love the most. So I recommend a couple things. It's helpful to have clear bins if you can, just so you can kind of see what is in there and to label them as well, and to keep the decor bins together and maybe preferably by holiday. So you have Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, for example, and then maybe you have Valentine's Day or something like that. But just having it in some sort of order, and then ideally it would all be together. Now, part of this is using the container concept where you have like a boundary around where you want to have the decor. And one of the questions that I had in the Facebook group was, well, what happens when they're oddly shaped things? And we definitely have that. We have a skeleton, a full length skeleton that we have nicknamed Skelly. And Skelly hangs in our utility room near the laundry. And that's our permanent place for Skelly. So the rest of the decor is somewhere else, but we used to have him in the attic, but we have luckily been able to take pretty much everything out of the attic, which saves us having to go up the stairs and maneuver around there, which I'm grateful for. But you might need to be a little bit creative as far as like how you are storing things. Hopefully, by decluttering what you don't use, you're able to have more limited space for the decor, so it's not taking up so much space and not in multiple places. You also need to keep in mind like the weather concerns or moisture, mold, that kind of thing. So you may not be able to keep certain things like outside in a shed, for example. They'll need to be inside. So kind of keep some of those things in mind as well. And then you want it to be as accessible as possible given the other things. So a lot of times people will keep the holiday decor maybe in the garage or maybe in a basement area, but you just want it to be easily accessible to kind of get in and out. And so if you want to talk further about that, or if you have a specific space in mind, you can go ahead and join the Facebook group at Simple by Emmy, not Simple by Emmy. That's my website, tinyurl.com/moms overcoming overwhelm. There we go. And we can certainly talk about any of your specific needs. But hopefully that will help you pare down some of your holiday decor so that you're not feeling overwhelmed, and hopefully will save you some trips to HomeGoods or Target. Now, of course, if you're finding decor that is broken, or you're realizing, hey, I really don't like this particular centerpiece, doesn't really work for me anymore, and you want to replace something, then by all means go ahead. But I think it's great to just experiment with less by really seeing what we have already and then being able to use it in maybe a different way. Maybe you put it in a different spot. I'm going to link to an interview that I had with Danny Watson, who talks all about intentional home decor. So maybe you can get some inspiration there. But just kind of as a review, as far as like the 5 steps that we talked about, the first pre-steps, don't buy anything, please. We want to list the holiday traditions and activities that are most important that are happening within our home. And then step 2, for any of those activities, determine where it's happening, what the boundary is around it, and what sort of things you need for it. And that's the foundation of our decor plan. Then for step 3, we add in those nice to haves, the things that we still love, but aren't necessarily tied to an activity. And number 4 is when we're actually taking items out, asking ourselves if we used those items last year, and if we didn't, considering that maybe we are going to donate those or perhaps use an out of sight, out of mind bin until next year. And then step 5 is, if you feel brave, just decorate with the decor that you use and love the most and see how that feels. And then we're going to organize and do storage as logically as we can based upon when the holidays are happening, the accessibility, using clear bins, labeling, that sort of thing. And again, happy to talk to you more about it with any questions that you may have in the Facebook group. So hopefully that was helpful. I hope that you can enjoy these upcoming holidays without worrying about the decor or feeling like you have to have a skeleton hanging in your basement. But it is something that it's nice to be able to augment our family memories and our experiences, but we don't want to be bogged down by all the stuff. So until next time, I will be here available to help you with any decluttering questions that you might have. So I will see you next week. Bye for now. Hey Mama, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, could you please share this episode with another mom who is feeling overwhelmed? Also, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a 5-star written review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Finally, if you would like more support, come on over to our free Facebook group, tinyurl.com/moms overcoming overwhelm. Can't wait to connect with you soon.